Okay, so like I said, now it's time for our featured speaker, and today we have a very special guest. I want to just briefly mention how I connected with Zoe and how the importance of Facebook nowadays plays a huge role in connecting with people. You just never know what's going to happen. I believe we met through some mutual friends through Facebook. And that's huge because, when you're out there and you're posting things, the mutual friends of other people can see what you're doing. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. Let me connect with this person. They're really active. You never know what's going to happen in the future. And about, a month ago or so, I put a posting out there. We're looking for some speakers for our mastermind, this and that. And she was the first person to respond. And I had read her profiles before in the past, like, this would be great. Come on out here and do a great presentation for us. And when I heard the topic, I was like, oh yeah, that's great, yeah. So today, Zoe Sexton is here, and I have it on my phone here. She's here to talk to us about FLIRTonomics and the art of business attraction through energetic engagement. So without further ado, please welcome Zoe Sexton! I was like, oh my God. You know what, I fixed the error. I screwed that one up. Thanks for forgiving me.
I was studying, I'm like, maybe we can change that. Okay, so what am I going to talk about? My philosophy. Well, I just wrote a book. It's called FLIRTonomics. This is the proof copy. So I'm reframing the conversation around flirt, which is to be friendly, exhibit leadership, be inquisitive, receptive, and tactile. And in our basic communication, we want to connect. We're human beings. We're always looking for sameness. We're looking for opportunities to find something that aligns with us. And when you're coming forward, energetic engagement is just wearing a smile on your face, being aware of your own facial expression, being aware of your body language, which direction your feet are pointing when you're talking to somebody, making eye contact. And that's the first door to opening things, and then you start to offer value. So, I always attract business opportunities. I end up working with a lot of nonprofits, or people come and say, can you help me with this, or can you help me with that? My background is, I have a master's in strategic leadership, so it's around taking initiative and thinking of ways that you can work with someone and find a way to help their business and find where the gaps are. What is it that they're missing? And when I'm attracting business, I'm just listening to what the people are saying, and I'm trying to think of okay, if they have this problem, if they just had a partner that was bringing with them, some more clients. Some more opportunities. Or this would be an ideal situation that would not be uncomfortable to match up with their business. So I'm always trying to think of, those opportunities and what might work for someone in that situation. And, I'm really an introvert turned extrovert. So for me, it's been a process. I do believe it. But I can sit in my house for days and just write and communicate that way and not really even feel like I'm missing anything at all. So for me, it's okay, I've got to get out and connect with human beings. And when you connect with people, it's a gift. Flirting it's just indiscriminate. It's really engaging. It could be a 2-year-old, it could be a 90-year-old, it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a student. It doesn't matter because you're actually giving a gift to the person. And when you do that, you're creating excess energy, you're creating exchange. And that's really how it takes on a life of its own. So in that engagement process and paying attention, that creates excess. When you're creating excess energy, it can be applied to move other concepts around capital. So when we're looking at the capital markets, we're looking at capital wheels, and from an economic standpoint, there's economic capital, which has to do with your finances, money, those types of things. There's your social capital, which is your network. Those people that you know, who makes up your family, your business relationships, your contacts, that sense of community, that's your social network. Then there's your cultural capital. And your cultural capital has to do with your education, your vocation, your training, your skill set. It also has to do with things around the arts as well. That specific kinds of training, whether you're musical or, a painter or in that category. So it has to do with your knowledge base. These are the things that move around, but your personal capital, your personal portfolio is what you bring to the table. That's who you are. It's the person that's moving these other forms of capital. It's nothing else. So paying attention to who you are as a person and the message that you're communicating and what you're bringing is extremely important. So when I'm looking at personal assets, I like to think of this in terms of financial markets, just because I have a background in financial services, and so I think about investments. And I think about, short-term investments, long-term investments, annuitized investments, derivatives, swaps, interest rates, rates of return, all of these types of things when I'm thinking about a portfolio. So my personal asset portfolio has to do with my face. What's on my face? What kind of eye contact am I making with you? How smooth is my expression? What am I communicating? Are you aware of your expression to others? Is it joyous? Is it open? Is it receptive? Or is it translating your fear, your anxiety, or your anger, or disrespect, or disregard? Keeping your face in an expression that's open will also make you feel open here. And it'll make you feel open in your body to have a peaceful expression. Then the next part of your asset is your physical body. How well are you taking care of your physical body? People want to connect with healthy people. They want to feel that they can get healthy energy from you. When they feel like it's unhealthy, they pull away. Because it's a natural biological reaction. Because they're afraid it might be contagious, whatever it is, even though they don't know. We're just biological beings. We're just amoebas out here, and our body's telling us to do things and have reactions. And our mind has to challenge those reactions and say, oh no, this is an okay situation, calm down, stay where you are. So that's your second thing. And then your mannerisms, your social grace. Do you have good manners? Can you respect what other people say? Do you chew with your mouth closed? Simple things that communicate information about you to the person that you're communicating with. And it's also important to realize, in this personal house, I'll just go actually this part, and then I'll be back to that. So we go on from there. So your social grace, your inner vitality, that's a function of your health and your mindset. That's the energy that you carry within yourself. Your presentation is different than your social grace. It has to do with what you're wearing, what you're carrying, what you have externally, what's visual about you. That's what you're presenting. And then there's intimacy skills. How well can you connect with someone on an intimate level, on a personal level? Then there's fertility. Fertility of our bodies, for women, of course, is something that's transitory. It moves away. So the primary focus would be fertility of the mind, your creativity. That's something that you can maintain all of your life. That's what keeps people engaged and interested in what you're saying. So then it is also your ability to nurture and to give attention and to offer some caring. And overall, over this all, to connect these things, you have to have a spiritual base in your mind and in your body. That's really the web that grounds it. It has nothing to do with religion or anything like that. It just has to do with knowing that you're not the only thing on the planet and being aware. And that awareness is what comes out when you start to pay attention to people and start to notice the language that they're speaking. What language, what is their presentation? What is their energy? It's understanding that, because if you want to be understood, you need to speak that language. I can drop you down in France, and if you do not know French, you can shout like an American, and perhaps annoy everyone, or you can listen and start to communicate with your body and with your eye contact. I hitchhiked all over the world. I think the longest drive I drove was from Spain to Venice and back again in like a couple of days. But I've hitchhiked all over the place. I didn't worry about language. I don't need to talk. I don't need to say a word to get some communication going. or to express something. I don't need to say a word to see what someone else needs. And that's really the most important thing, is to start to notice what someone else needs. How you can serve that. How you can bring that to the table first. Because then you can connect with someone. You can have a relationship. And relationships are back and forth situations. So in all of this, it's my overall philosophy, which I call FLIRTonomics. So it takes leadership to actually stand apart and start to recognize outside of yourself and come out of your world. It takes leadership to move and realize you're not the only thing. You're like in your head, you've got this chain going on. Just stop and notice something else. Get out of your treadmill. Notice that you've got crumbs on the floor of your car if you're driving and traffic's annoying you. I mean, think about that. Move out of that mindset into another one. So, when I'm talking about this, and why does it bring business? Because in that, people can feel that you really want to do something for them. So I find opportunities all the time in my business, and people are like, oh, you don't have like a one type that you work with. But I'm not interested in types. I'm interested in solving problems and finding a way to help someone get to where they want to go. An example of that would be, I was a financial advisor for a family, and last year, about 10 months ago, the daughter called me and said, can you come look at this piece of real estate? I want to do something. So I go up to look at this piece of real estate, and she tells me she wants to build a foundation, a community care facility for people with chronic illness. And I said, okay, how much money do you have? I said, does anyone know you're an expert in Lyme disease? No. Does anyone know, how much work you do? No. Do you know we're going to get the money? No, I just know it's going to come. I'm like, well, okay, you're not ready. So let's do this. I said, I want you to do these things. I said, you're going to come to one of my business plan writing workshops. I'm going to give it to you for free. I said, then you're going to sign up for a book writing workshop. You're going to write a book. I'm going to go there with you. And I'm going to sit there and do your technology. I said, and then you're going to follow these instructions, and then we're going to make it into a bestseller. And so I put her with my girlfriend who helps people get their books done, and we just started a process. And I just say, okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's time to, okay, you've written a book. Now we've got enough buyers. So now it's time to start the foundation. Now it's time to build the website. Now it's time to do the blog. So within 8 months, she had a bestseller. She had a foundation started. She had 30,000 contacts with Lyme disease. All of these different communities being built and coming together. And she had her first fundraiser, which 200, I think, what was it? I don't know, 100 people showed up for it or something. And I had found the guy that did Under Our Skin, who she couldn't get in contact with, and I wrote him and told him a story. And so he wrote me back right away. He's like, call me. I called him. He goes, we have to meet. So I met him and I set them up for lunch. This is just something that I do because I love to. And so that's the point of it, is that now this thing is happening, and money's coming. Because people go, I want to help you. I want to be involved in this foundation. I want to be part of this thing that you're doing, and people can feel the energy there. And it's extremely important to think about it that way, because I think that it's a bit of an anomaly that she actually did every single thing that I said. That shocked the heck out of me. But she did it. And so, I don't feel responsible for it. I just was like, okay, time to do this. I'm just a facilitator for the bigger picture. So when I talk about, FLIRTonomics, it's economical to engage. It creates excess energy. You don't know where it's going to go. But it's going to do something good because it comes from that place. I don't know, how long do I have to talk? So,
you have time.
I do, I'm like...
You have time where you can end it whenever you want. It's up to you. You still have at least 20 more minutes if you want.
Oh my God.
It sounds a lot like the law of attraction.
It's very interesting.
Jack Canfield or Joe Vitale was
Well, it is the law of attraction.
Yeah.
I mean, when you bring the positive thought, what can you control? Yourself.
Right.
That's the only thing. So, I've written for dating sites, under a pen name. I was talking about I've coached people through as a moderator on their concepts and their stories with each other to create a communication rather than a ranting session.
Excuse me.
Because once the communication is there, things become less volatile. It's the sense of separation that creates the friction. It's the sense when people feel like there's a door open and they can have the conversation, then they begin to engage. So those are kind of, for that, so when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, well, in my book at the end, I don't really talk, my book is really a business book for women, this particular one, for how to, capitalize on your femininity, and bring your femininity into the office. Bring your femininity forward. You don't need to act like a man, even though you might be in an environment where there's a lot more men working there. Because women bring something different to the table than men do. The two things are meant to be collaborative. We're designed that way. We're not really designed to be at odds. That's just made up stories. Those are stories told by people that come from a competitive place rather than a collaborative place. The people that tell those stories are coming from a sense of lack, like there's not enough, or they have to prove something. It's all about telling, what you have to offer and listening, and then giving people the opportunity to come into that. So in the dating situation, I was like, well, I'm going to write one little thing about romance at the end of this book. And so my word about it is like, okay, which island are you? Are you the island they want to visit? The island they want to live on? Or the one they want to, the one they want to vacation on? You're one of those islands. So if you're looking to be the island they want to live on, and this applies to men and women, everyone's one of these islands, and if you're the one they're living on and they want to jump off of it, what's going on? But if it's you, you want to be the island they want to live on. So what are you doing that's attracting the wrong type of person? You cannot be like, well, only these bad married men are attracted to me. It's like, if I'm attracting married men, I know that I'm putting out some energy that says I'm unavailable. I'm safe and unavailable. So what is it that I'm doing? If I change that energy around and come with the attitude of like, I'm going to be more open and available, then those types of people they stop being attracted to me. So looking at sort of saying what kind of situation, what are you creating in your environment that's attracting a certain set? Because we are vibrational creatures. Again, it's biological response. Flirting is healthy human behavior. Looking for that match. And if that match, if it's, romantic attraction that you don't want, I just call that misdirected romantic attraction. That energy can be channeled into something incredible, and often is. I've had people write, a series of 8 books, create patented products, build websites, create movies, do all sorts of things that they didn't even know they could do. Because of that excess energy that gets created. It's completely sustainable. Because it's manufactured within our bodies. We just need to learn to access it. So in that sense, it is about attraction, but that's just the energy that comes up. It's, like I said, it's completely sustainable. It doesn't have any waste. Does anyone want to ask any questions?
I'd love to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You talked to me about your facial expressions and how you represent them. And I see a lot of clients that don't recognize how they're doing that or what they're doing. What's your suggestion on how someone can help internalize what's being presented externally? May not be what they want to be expressed.
That's an excellent question, and it's really interesting because about a year and a half ago, I was asked to model for a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer. I never think about getting in front of a camera unless I said, well, okay, I'll do it if you give me some business shots. He's a hard news photographer and he wanted to build a portraiture portfolio. So I show up, and I was really anxious and really uncomfortable, and I have a degree in film. I had no intention of ever getting in front of a camera in my life. What the heck are they looking at? So I go into this thing and I do these photo shoot, and I see the pictures, I'm like, is that what people see?
That's right.
Is that what people see? So that's different than looking in the mirror. And I noticed when I have a negative thought in my mind, I can look at someone and they look less attractive. And then I start to feel
They
better.
look less attractive.
They look less attractive because my feelings about myself are negative. So I see them as less attractive. And when I start to feel better about myself and open, they look more beautiful. And it's the same person. So when you look in the mirror and you have those feelings, your vision is distorted. So when I did this photo shoot, and I actually built a program around this with this photographer because it was so astounding to me that I thought, this is like phototherapy. This is like therapeutic photography. So I designed this thing I said, can you do this? I said, what do you think about, bringing people in that are in transition, divorce, for example, or loss, or grief, who can only see themselves in one way, and showing them their beauty. Because what you do in photography is take the essence of someone. So, you may take 200 photos or 500 in one of these photo shoots. The photographer delivers to you, the 4, 5, 8 photos that are the best photos. That's what you see. That's your proof. That's your evidence. That you can carry with you. And it has a lot of impact. In the process of therapeutic photography, there are psychologists that actually use going through photos to help people change their old stories in their minds and to deconstruct their past and to unravel some things like that. But this is actually a more active approach of taking what you have right now and moving forward. I don't see a lot of point in looking back into the past unless you're doing some very deep psychological work. But on a normal basis, you make mistakes, you apologize for them right away, and you move forward not doing them again. That's just the best way to do it, because there's no point in beating yourself up for something that's already done, because you can't change that. The only thing you can change is right now. Does that make sense?
It's what I
I think that you say something is really makes sense. You're talking about face expression, the body, the eye contact. I think it's very, very important. And I feel that, there another piece that people need to understand is really start with your mind. That's where everything started, because if your mind into the messy situation, all this stuff, it doesn't really matter. You see, and your mind start with the way you're thinking, and the words you're talking, and the action and the result. What happened was that it's just my situation that I had in the past, and and you know how you do certain thing in life or something like that, and thing doesn't really come the way you anticipate coming out. So I was asking that, what can I do to make it better? Well, what did I do wrong? But see, the root cause is not what I do wrong. What I was thinking is wrong. You see? And believe it or not, I learned is life, it will come into reality. What is the image that you hold in your mind? Your image it's just like a projector. The guy was using a projector. You project into the wall, whether positive or negative, in your mind. And that sort of concept is really hard to grasp, but it really is that it's everything start with your mind. And your mind start with what are you believing yourself and things like that. And when you have such a confidence about yourself, and I'm not talking about an elegant way, but I'm talking about with the right way, and the face expression, the body, the eye contact, and everything can go together with that.
Yes. It has to be a combination of things, and sometimes if you don't realize how dysfunctional your mind is, or you have intentions that you think are just, but then you realize in second thought, you think, well gosh, how does this person's reacting differently. That maybe your intention is not as selfless as you think it is. Or
Right.
maybe you're actually acting out of your own, you're being more manipulative.
Right. And
So it's about really that intention. Someone asked me that before. They said, well, if I want to be friendly and joke around with women in the office or whatever, how am I going to, how are they not going to know that I'm not intending anything other than being friendly? And I said, you need to remove the intention from your mind. because that's really what people feel.
You know, I was kind of read up some of those, they're talking about the baby, you know, and it's programmed, the baby from the time that the mom conceived the baby, you know, and when the mom interacts with the negative, positive, and all that stuff in the womb, the baby affected from there in the beginning, you know, and program the baby all the way to 4 years old. And by the time they're 4 years old, the baby fully 100% programmed, whether good, negative, or positive right there. And most are negative. So it says something that, you know, now that we got reprogrammed that, you
Well,
know.
it's important how we treat, when children do learn from birth to age 5, but what you do inside them, I have 4 children, by the way. So,
Yeah.
I have 4 children. I'm experienced in the world of childbearing and rearing.
Wow.
Well, you know, what I'm saying that, you know, and most of people are programmed in some way, and
Not having-
believe it or not, that we in life that, you know, we have the other side that run automatically, you know, that you don't even know about. They run automatically. So that is very dangerous that a lot of people don't realize that, you know, don't really know that. So, you know, and that's the reason why that you gotta constantly keep your mind with the positive thing at all times. You know, you gotta constantly read a good book, you know, audio tape, and be around with the good people. You know, things like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's too, I mean, children do, you know, adjust. I think the biggest thing that parenting is responsible for is, you know, raising responsible, healthy adults that can contribute positively to society. However, recognizing that they are human beings and they're going to have human behaviors. And perfect is not interesting at all. You know, it's like, it's just not, you know. So doing things, no, creativity is interesting.
You know, I want to make a couple comments, if that's okay. The
Yeah.
guy behind the camera has a few things to say for right there. So, I've been networking for quite a while now, and, you know, been running my own events along with some other people that are helping me, like Len and some of the other executive members. And the one thing I've noticed that really drives me crazy the most is, you know, when people that come to events come up really, really quickly at the end, hey, let me give you my business card, and yeah, let's have time to talk to them. It's like they're really, really fast paced. And it really makes me wonder, are they there to truly get to know me, or am I just another number in their Rolodex? Is it kind of like going to See's Candy back in the days where they had that now serving thing?
Yeah.
And then you take the ticket, and you forget to take the ticket. Sorry, you got to pull one now and go to the back of the line, right? So I don't like to feel that way. Another thing, like you mentioned, and I've mentioned this before at some of our other locations, is that, you know, I look at networking and dating very similar, and I think you kind of do
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're not going to go into a bar and I'm a single man, by the way. Okay, you're not going to go into a bar. I always have to mention that wherever I go, because you never know. I'm networking still, right? It's business, but you just never know, right? Okay, I'm not looking here. Okay, it's not. I know, but you're not going to go into a bar and meet somebody the first night, have a couple drinks, fall in love. The next day, you know, propose marriage, and then the following day start having kids. It doesn't happen that way. Now I know in certain. No. I know in certain. Well, let me.
I got stories.
My exception here is that in certain cases, I've heard it has happened. And in rare circumstances, it may actually work. I've heard it work a few times. In most cases, it ends up not working. So, you know, when you're dealing with people, you know, give them the respect that you would want, you know, to receive as well, too. It drives me crazy how some people, they want all the attention, but they don't want to give anybody else any attention.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts about something like that?
These people, first of all, I would think right in a situation like this where it's open forum, you know, that's why people sign up for dating websites, so they can take the process. It's always a courting process, whether it's in romantic relationships or business. It's a process of getting to know the person and you know, communicating and developing trust. That's what it's about. When you jump into a situation and, like, you know, get married, you know, at the bar, like start having babies next week, it's like you never really take the time to really understand who that person is and how that relationship's going to work out. Just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean it's that kind of attraction. It might be for something else. So taking that time, it's like, yes, I think you're beautiful, or I think you're handsome, or I think you're smart, or I think you're, you know, athletic, or overachiever, whatever it is, a great parent. That's a component of who they are. But people are not one-dimensional. So, learning to do that and have that experience. So when people run up and do that, I think that they were kind of afraid to sort of step out at first. They were, uncomfortable with engaging. And they're going to a networking group because they're not as social. Or because they need to find a place where there's a group of people. So they sort of need some training skills. And dating's the same way. Just running up, you'll get the guys with all the lines. They go to the dating board, dating 101. Here's a bunch of lines. I mean, I know what they are, a little NLP training here. But they start coming out of the same guys all the time, like, wait, I heard that line over there. Wait, I think I read that in a book.
Yeah.
I think the same is true of networking. People kind of come up with their spiel and you really want to find out a little bit more about them, and you want to know that they're reliable, because in business situations, you want to know that once you refer them, when I refer someone business, I'm putting myself on the line.
Right.
When I'm helping them build their business, I'm putting myself on the line. And I've engaged in business partnerships that got twisted up, where the intention, the person became unreliable, they just disappeared for 10 days, and they've got, a client out there hanging, going, oh my God, what's going on, having a lot of anxiety. It just creates anxiety across the board because of lack of communication. And, it's all about communication. It's all about easing that process. So, when I do referrals, I basically hand deliver the client. It's like, you can just send me the paperwork and I'll have them sign it. Because I'm going to be a mediator. I already know what they need. I'm going to usher them into the situation. I've already pre-sold you. It's not these networking groups where you're passing out stuff like that. But when people run up like that, it's like, sometimes I think it's better to give them your card and see if they call. Because then, if they do, they have some dedication for follow-up. Otherwise, it's just like they're trying to get rid of their business cards. It's like, I got 500.
Yeah, you're cool.
So and I'm like, oh, business cards aren't necessary. Business cards are necessary. I have stacks of them, but I just put them in, and I try to. My database is getting reorganized right now because I have about 8 of them going. But it's all about that. So I just think that in those situations, like the paying it forward attitude, I just went to a very cool networking event completely after I'd been writing all day long. My girlfriend, she's like, just get in the shower, get over here, I'm picking you up. And I'm like, okay.
I need some people like that to help me bring people to GNA.
Anywhere, I've been writing this document all day. I'm like, totally. She's like, get in the shower, put on some deodorant.
I got a question for you.
So,
Yes.
something you said reminds me of a short story that illustrates some of what you were talking about. You mentioned having been to France, and I'm reminded of a past president of San Jose Toastmasters, a lady who was over 80, a real flirt, a stockbroker, by the way. She frequently traveled to Paris, and she gave a speech on how an American can get along in Paris, and she had 3 main points. First of all, attempt to learn at least some of the language. And second, always be polite. Start out with excusez-moi. And third, and this was the most interesting, whenever possible, ask a member of the opposite sex and flirt. And this is from a lady who's over 80.
Yeah. No, that's very good advice. I did speak fluent French when I was in France, which is a big surprise to the French. But it is true. I said the most important words you can learn in any language are how do you say. How do you say this? How do you say that? Because that shows an interest in their language and in learning new words. It's not even, excuse me, hello, goodbye, where's the bathroom? It's how do you say. That's a conversation opener. That enables someone to give you something. That allows the exchange to begin to happen. So that's, for as far as learning language, I said, my daughter's actually in Germany and she's very uncomfortable learning, well, she's in Austria, she's moved there, but she'd have to learn German. And she wasn't saying, I said, you just need to learn how you say in German. I said, she has an Austrian boyfriend and now she's going to school there, but...
Das ist eine sehr gute Sprache.
Yes. So now she's speaking and she's been there like a year, but it's, going to a new culture and just diving in is a challenge. But, being willing to do it. And that's the same as in networking. It's just overcoming the fear, forgetting, it's not about what's in your head. It's just about being available. Isn't it easier to be helpful? Isn't it easier to host a party and be serving people? Is it easier to hide in the kitchen? That's my good. When I was more, I like to have the company, but I have the safety of the tray. When I was more introverted, So it's like, what kind of crutches do you need? I like props, hats, things like that. And it is, about intention and doing that. Does anyone have any other questions?
Oh, is that it?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I was just wondering where that sound was coming from.
Yeah, it was too.
It's this TV over there and it's cranked, but any other questions, anybody?
I just have a really quick one. When you first started your conversation and you were talking about your posture, that every little detail counts. You started with the face and the body. Then you mentioned the feet. I was curious as to, is there something there that takes some kind of recognition?
People don't even notice it, but it's like, am I talking to you?
Okay.
I was at a party, I was at this art opening, and my shoe broke, so I was barefoot. And I come out and this woman's there, I'm like, this woman's gonna follow me and talk to me. And so sure enough, I walk around the corner, here she comes. So I start talking to her, and within a couple of seconds, she starts saying how there's no men today. There's no men. There's no good men, there's this, and I said, and I was looking, she was like this, and I said, there's great men here. I'm like, look, there's one. I go, look how nicely he's dressed. I'm like, there's another awesome guy. I mean, these guys are handsome. What are you talking about? So. And she's all, she goes, well, and I said, well, the thing is, I said, you have to open. So when, and this is a body posture thing. My hands are open. When I'm approaching an animal, I was raised in the country. I didn't understand humans, but I really understood animals. I worked a lot with animals. I rescued wild animals. I trained horses. And going like this to a dog would likely get you bitten. It's pushing down. It's coming over the top. The same is with your body posture to humans. Doing this to a dog will allow the dog to come to you. Doing this allows people to come to you. When you're like this or like this, you feel like they're coming at you. You allow people to come to you and open yourself, every bit of yourself, to opportunity. Because there's opportunities coming all the time. It's just a matter of noticing them and being receptive to attracting them. So this woman was like this, and I said, okay, let me just change some things. I said, put your body up. I said, square your shoulders, pull yourself up from your collarbone. I said, bring your energy down and open your hands. She goes, oh, I'm doing this. And I said, yes, you're doing that. I said, just put this down. Do this. And I said, and move your feet facing me. Because I'm giving you all of my attention right now. And so I changed her body posture, like literally in a couple of seconds. Within 3 minutes, the Stanford doctor walked up to her and started talking. And was like talking to her for about 20 minutes. And then it was like, next guy, next guy, next guy. And it's just a matter of a couple of minutes. So it's just, being receptive, being open. There's nothing that can come at you because it's only going to go through you. It's not stopping here. Everything's about transitions. So our experience here is transitory. We're having an encounter. My emotional state, whether I'm angry, happy, relieved, it's a state that's transitory. It doesn't stay in my body. I don't have to hold on to that because another sensation is going to come shortly thereafter. Nothing stays the same. I think in this country, people are not very good with dealing with transitions. They resist them.
That's true.
Yes. And resisting change, you're never going to win that battle. Everything is going to change, no matter how much you try to keep it the same. So when you embrace change and you welcome it, more things come through you and to you. And then you can, open those opportunities and see what they are.
The only thing constant in life is change.
That's right. I'm not getting any younger.
Okay. We have to move forward to the mastermind. Thank you very much, Zoe. That was awesome.
Good job.